Thanks for watching the news on Times TV with me, George Misinde. First, the headlines. As the 41st SADC Summit begins on Monday, it has transpired that most people have not been well informed of what the summit is all about. Leader of opposition in Parliament, Kondwani Nkrumah, says the government should seek ways of revamping the economy during the SADC Summit. An average of 23 people has been dying in the country due to COVID-19 from the first week of August. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. As the 41st Southern African Development Community Summit starts on Monday, it has transpired that most people have not been well informed of what the summit is all about. The summit is expected to be held up to August 19th, with several heads of states and delegates patronizing the meeting. Wezi Gausi reports.
Random interviews on the streets of the capital city of Lilongwe revealed that there has been little or no civic education on the event. One of the residents and a business person, Kenny Mkonya, says he has little knowledge on the matter, blaming government on information blackout despite being the host.
I don't know much about SADC. What I know is that they say in the SADC region, the countries are practicing what they call free trade. I don't have the main understanding of free trade as they are saying, but that's what I can say. I don't know much about SADC.
Another resident, Bethia Welos, says SADC is associated with heads of states in the Southern Africa, but she has little knowledge of the issues that are discussed during the summit. A small-scale entrepreneur, Petros Mkandawile, expected the meeting to boost the business industry, including those in the informal sector. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Eson Hoankaka, says the country have a communications committee on SADC which has the mandate to civic educate the masses. He says even the media have a role to play in dissemination of information about SADC.
We are not an island. We exist, but we can only exist if our neighbors are also existing.
Meanwhile, government says all preparation for SADC are almost done.
The government says 1.2 billion kwacha would be used as operations cost for the summit that Malawi is hosting from Monday, August 9 to 19, 2021. The total budget for the regional meeting, which not less than 10 heads of state will attend, has been paged at 4 billion kwacha. Matthews Kasanda has the details.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Elson Hoankaka and Minister of Information Gospel Kazako held a press briefing in Lilongwe on Sunday, updating the nation on how prepared the country is to host the summit. The minister has emphasized that the government is ready to host the summit, which will attract 400 delegates, with some of them participating virtually. Mkaka said the government has purchased 10 VVIP vehicles and 10 VIP vehicles that will be used during the summit.
The working budget has been capped at 4 billion, and I must say that there could be a small variance because of the activity that is taking place at Kamuzu International Airport, because the airlines expressed reservations with the markings at the airport. They were not comfortable. They said it was a security risk and that required us to do extra work. So that will bring about a small variance in terms of the budget, the budget figure that was mentioned.
On his part, Kazako said Malawi stands to benefit from the summit in different ways, including the creation of jobs, because almost all of the services during the summit will be provided by Malawians.
We need to cultivate our friendship with countries so that, yes, when we're in trouble, we should be able to see who we can talk to. When they are in trouble, they should also be able to talk to us so that we can assist.
Malawi will host the summit from 9th August to 19th August 2021.
Leader of opposition in parliament, Kondwani Nankrumah, has told President Lazarus Chakwera to borrow a leaf from other African countries which are doing better economically on how to manage their country's economy, which he said is in shambles. Nankrumah said President Chakwera should take advantage of the SADC meeting to learn new ideas from other countries on how to develop the nation economically. More in this report by Josephine Chipofia, read by Feston Malekezo.
Nankrumah said this in Mzuzu at St. Andrew's CCP Church of the Livingstonia Synod, where the church was inducting Reverend Isaiah Vuyebo Hone. Nankrumah further said Chakwera, being the chairperson of SADC, should take part in bringing peace in some parts of the SADC region, particularly Mozambique, where there is civil unrest.
Domestically, it is very important again that Malawi should take a leaf or should borrow a leaf from other countries within the SADC region who are doing better economically. What are they doing? What did they do to reach where they are? And it is my belief that Malawi is going to learn more from that.
Meanwhile, Minister of Civic Education and Nation Unity, Timothy Ntambo, says churches should continue to be drivers of peace in the country and advising the government whenever it is not doing well.
The government of His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Chakwera will always practice an open door policy, will always be a listening government in ensuring that whatever advice that comes from the people of this country, the religious leaders inclusive, should be respected and should be followed. So this is the message that this government is sending, that we are going to be a listening government, and we are encouraging them to continue with their prophetic mission, advising the government where necessary.
Ntambo then urged church leaders to continue giving hope to Malawians, especially now that the country and the whole world is experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic. Moderator from Zuzu City Presbytery, Reverend Wisdom Male, said the synod will continue to advise the government when it is not performing well.
It is the duty of the church to tell the government to care for her people, so that the people can enjoy the benefits of their soil, which is Malawi. So we will continue advising the government without interfering with their services.
Malawi will host the 41st SADC Summit from Monday to August 18 this year, where President Lazarus Chakwera is expected to take over the chairmanship of the region.
Meanwhile, the Malawi Police Service says it is committed to providing tight security during the summit. National Police Public Relations Officer James Kadadzera said on Sunday that police officers will be positioned in all strategic points in the city to enhance safety and security. Kadadzera is speaking with our reporter Taonga Sabola.
We have intensified patrols within the city of Lilongwe, and we have also intensified traffic checks to making sure that there is order in our roads. As far as the issues to do with the traffic jam is concerned, we are informing Malawians that the M1 road from the airport turn off at Lumba passing Kanyango to the interchange at area 18 will be busy most of the times. We are advising Lilongwe residents to be using other alternative roads if they want to access the city center, Kanyango, as well as Old Town.
An average of 23 people has been dying in the country due to COVID-19 every day in the first 7 days of this month, from 1 August to 7th August. Chairperson of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Kumbize Kandodo Jibonda, who is also Minister of Health, says a total of 162 people died within the first week, and some of whom due to late healthcare seeking behavior. Matthews Kasanda has the details.
Chibonda says the country continues losing productive citizens due to the disease, some of whom could have been saved if they presented themselves early to healthy facilities. In the COVID-19 update statement released on Saturday, Chibonda says the task force has observed general late healthcare seeking behavior among people, whereby in some cases patients are brought to treatment units while already dead. The task force has therefore urged those who have severe form of COVID-19 to seek healthcare immediately at their nearest health center. Meanwhile, Malawi Health Equity Network Executive Director George Jobe says there's a need to continue civic educating people through different means.
Apart from the media, we need to use community structures like chiefs, the leadership of some leadership structures, ADCs, area development community bodies, and the village development committees. We have community health action groups, CHAGs. All these must be vehicles of information to the community. We think if we can saturate community messages in the communities, that's going to help to reach as many people as possible.
During the first week of August 2021, 404 people were admitted in treatment centers across the country, while 318 were discharged.
The Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace says the current regime has lost direction and that hope of many Malawians, especially the youth, is fading. The governance arm of the Catholic Church highlights two ropes that could lead the current regime to its downfall, which are nepotism in public appointments and corruption in government procurement processes, which continue to worsen. Government spokesperson Gospel Kazako says they too share the pain and discomfort that have come as they are building a new Malawi. Feston Malekezo has the report.
Among others, CCJP points out the recent appointments to foreign missions and the 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds which were mismanaged. In a statement released on Sunday, CCJB National Coordinator Boniface Chibwana notes that intra-party conflicts in the Tonse Alliance are effectively fueling the current regime to continue losing touch in elevating the socio-economic welfare of Malawians and to improve the quality of governance which many people embraced. Further, CCJP notes that there is no clear government direction on small-scale businesses and the informal economic sector.
We see that continuing even now when you have noted the recent appointments in some embassies, the diplomats that we have. We have seen some names that have some connections with those in the high offices. So those are some of the issues that we're pointing out to say, I think we're not learning from the mistakes that the past regime did.
Information Minister Gospel Kazako says they too share the pain and discomfort which has come about due to what he described as a recalibration process. Kazako said the suffering will not be permanent as they are building a Malawi that is solid and sustainable. On nepotism, Kazako said they believe that some of the accusations are just driven by misplaced perception. CCJB is not the first governance body to criticize the government over poor leadership, as others such as Human Rights Defenders Coalition have also recently threatened to hold demonstrations if the government fails to come up with a plan to address economic hardships some Malawians are experiencing.
You are watching the news on Times TV. We will be back after the break.
To achieve great things in life, you must do little things every day, like the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate.
1, wake up. 2, brush up. 3, smile.
123 with Colgate and give yourself a future to smile about.
Life happens in a flash. Memories are forever. From your first breath as a child
Welcome back. The Malawi government, through the Marine Department, has dismissed reports that it is blocking 3 of Tanzania's state-owned vessels from picking and dropping cargo and passengers from Malawi's side. There have been reports this week that the Malawi side is barring the vessels to dock on its ports, prompting the Tanzanian authorities to consult authorities in Malawi to find solutions to the purported disputes. Feston Malekezo reports.
Marine Department Director John Mhango says the reports are not entirely true, saying the issue was on where the vessels could land, as they are bigger and longer self-propelled barges. The 3 vessels were MV Njombe, MV Ruvuma, and another passenger ship estimated to be around 60 meters longer than MV Lala. Mhango says what they know is that the Tanzanian counterparts, through the Tanzania Ports Authority (TPA), have introduced 3 vessels, and during their trial landing the crew wanted to land at Chipoka, which is under maintenance. Consequently, one of them landed in Katabe and the other one in Monkibe, adding none was blocked. Malawi, Tanzania and Mozambique governments have a shipping agreement which entails that ships from either country can land freely. However, the agreement stipulates that issues such as cabotage are considered and that vessels have also to be properly registered. Mhango, however, declined to comment if the reports being propelled have anything to do with the Lake Malawi border wrangle. According to the Tanzanian reports, the country's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa asked the Tanzanian Ports Authority to date Malawian counterparts and to come up with lasting solution on the matter by August 25 this year. In the late 1970s, MV Ilala used to go to Tanzania from Katabe to Mbamba Bay, and equally Tanzanian MV Songea, but this collapsed due to water transport business challenges.
A 22-year-old taxi driver in Zomba, Jimmy Mtiwa, is in agony after he was allegedly beaten up by law enforcers from Zomba police station. According to Mtiwa, he was arrested along the Chinamwali Matawale Road on July 2 after he was found carrying passengers in a car that was not registered for business purposes. Mtiwa alleges that along the way, an officer who was assigned to escort him to the police started squeezing his manhood while interrogating him on the way while he was defying road traffic laws. We have this report by Isaac Salima.
Mtiwa said following the assault, he lost control of the vehicle. He further said fearing that the officer might harm him more at the station, he drove to Zomba taxi rank where he handed over the keys to the officer. He later followed up the vehicle to the station with his boss, but according to Mtiwa, 3 officers started beating him up before locking him in a cell.
Some officers came and started shouting at me to just follow what I was being told. I was against going in a cell because the case did not warrant an arrest.
Mtiwa says he was feeling dizziness after being hit on the head, right arm and the right knee up until he became unconscious. Zomba police officer in charge, Esther Wandari, confirmed that she is aware of the issue and that they are conducting investigations on what happened. Malawi Human Rights Commission's Civil and Political Rights Director, Peter Chis, has since described the issue as unfortunate, arguing that they will conduct their own investigations to find out what really happened. As it stands, a case has been opened against Mtiwa for the offense of conduct contrary to Section 118 and 119 of the Criminal Procedure and evidence code.
That's Isaac Salima reading a report filed by TSA Monjeza. Communities from Traditional Authority Chapananga in Chikwawa district have pleaded with the Ministry of Health to consider reopening Changambika Health Center, which remains closed 11 years on. The facility was closed in 2010 after communities chased away health workers following misunderstandings that erupted then. Isaac Salima with the details in this report.
According to senior group village head Changambika, people from the area now walk a distance of about 80 kilometers to access treatment at Gaga Health Center.
Akubegera panjira zimai komanso mwina kumwalira kumene njira ndiye sakabu ino yayi.
The facility was closed after villagers allegedly beat up and chased away some health workers for suspecting them to have mismanaged some resources at the facility. The chief said the people continue facing a lot of challenges to access health care, hence the plea to the government to reopen the hospital. Chikwawa District Director of Health and Social Services, Stalin Zinkanda, said local leaders are not taking heed of his advice to include the hospital's renovations in the district's annual investment plan.
The facility needs, first of all, it needs huge renovation. It will cost lots of money, which at the moment, as the office of the DHO, we cannot, or the DHO's office, we cannot afford to do that. So we have told the community leaders to, through the ADC, VDC, to include the renovation of that facility in the annual investment plan. We started telling them in 2019. We told them last year, but we are still waiting that they include that in the annual investment plan.
The communities expressed their concerns when an organization, Common Vision for Social Development, sensitized them on conflict resolution. With funding from the Didrose Foundation, the organization is implementing a project aimed at addressing challenges being faced in the health service delivery in rural hospitals. Oscar Chiremba is the organization's executive director.
The reopening of Changambika Health Center is very, very paramount, and it's a thing. Once it's done, that will be a very good thing to the community, because it will also reduce the workload which Gaga Health Center is also encountering.
The reports indicate that from 2010, about 7 pregnant women have died because of long distances to health facilities.
Christians in the country have been urged to be financially independent when carrying out developmental activities in the churches. Moderator for Tundu CCAP Church in Blantyre, Humphrey Ziambo, made the remarks during a final raffle draw for a fundraising activity for Wisiki B Zone. The church is on a fundraising campaign to raise funds for building a house. During the final draw, Pastor Ziambo went away with the main prize of a cow. Ziambo explains.
I want to appreciate, I want to thank God because of the response of most of the Christians here at Tundu. They are very, very dedicated Christians. They are giving their money, they are investing in the church, they are fundraising to get the money, about 15 million. We want to buy a house and also want to build the house. Yes, I just want to encourage the Christians because we know that there is the challenge of COVID. Most of them, their businesses are not functioning well, but I want to encourage them that there's God. They should continue to pray that God is our provider. God is going to provide whatever we want if we invest in.
Gift Ndalama, chairperson for Wisiki B Zone, expressed delight that Christians responded well to the fundraising initiative.
This raffle draw has been organized specifically to raise funds to support the cottage, Wisiki B cottage, that is under Tundu CCAP Church, to raise 1 million so that it reaches its target to contribute to the paper study that is coming for Tundu CCAP Church. It is very important for Christians to stand alone and raise funds without specifically waiting for external people to support them. Because it is important, as you know, that these days we are greatly hit by COVID-19. And if we rely on the people from outside, every sector has been affected. So the members of the church, they need on their own to make sure that they are able to raise funds and support the activities of the church.
And from Tundu to Mount Olive, CCAP Church has urged Malawians to teach kids about the gospel at a young age. This was stated as the church held a service which was conducted entirely by children. Gary Samati has the details.
It was all joy as children ministered the word of God and took over the whole service at Mount Olive CCAP, which is based at Naocha in Chilobwe, Blantyre. The children led the whole service, which included singing, making announcements, and preaching the word of God. Glory Hauya, who is 11 years old, was the preacher for the day. She has this message for her fellow young people.
I shall worship my God who strengthens. I can do all things in Christ Jesus who strengthens me. And the Lord will strengthen you no matter what, no matter all your situations. Just remind yourself that tough times never last, but tough people do.
Reverend of Mount Olive CCAP Church, Oswa Chinyama, said Malawians need to embrace this culture to have young people that understand the gospel.
What we've seen today is very great, very encouraging. And, Sunday school is like the nursery where we sow our seeds. And it is from there where you can tell that we are going to have nice youths. So seeing what the Sunday school children have done today, we are very optimistic as a church that we have a future. They were able to preach, recite memory verses, doing all those things. Some things which even elders or those who are grown-ups cannot do, but our children are doing that. So the future is very bright and very promising.
The service is conducted at least once every year.
With that story, we've come to the end of the news, but before we go, headlines again. As the 41st SADC Summit begins on Monday, it has transpired that most people have not been well informed of what the summit is all about. The leader of opposition in Parliament, Kondwani Nankuma, says the government should seek ways of revamping the economy during the SADC Summit. And an average of 23 people has been dying in the country due to the COVID-19 from the first week of August. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times360 Malawi, and following us on Twitter at Times360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. You've been with me, George Misinde.